All right, Keith, you said during the service tonight, when we start protecting what we like, we stop pursuing what he loves, and that's people. What does it look like when a church begins to protect the things that it likes?
I really think when you're looking at that, one of the first things I think of is music. We tend to have a preference of a music style. And then I stop and always ask myself, but you know, music's music. There's all kinds of styles of music. God is an incredible God of variety. But I think sometimes we get so involved in what we like that we forget about people. And then we start curbing the church to make it look like we want it to look. And I don't know what that is, you know? I mean, you heard me say tonight, the only church we know, or the church we know, is a church we've known. But what could the church be? And so the first thing I think about is music, structures, you know, staffing. You know, people say we have to have these certain staff, you know, we have to have an associate pastor, we have to have this, and we start protecting that. And the moment we do that, we take our eyes off what's most important, that's people.
Is this connected also with the whole idea of need? In other words, as people have needs, looking at that more in terms of driving the ministry as opposed to some preconceived idea of what that ministry should look like in a local church?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we always say this, and I learned this from Kevin Myers, is that every system should serve us. We should never serve the system. And the moment that we start serving the system, we need to get a new system. And so that changes. I mean, that changes all the time. We're always reinventing ourselves. As you know, new needs come up, we focus on that. They're people. And no one's alike. There's variety. And so that's always changing, ever changing. We say this, we have no sacred cows. You know, at the moment we have a sacred cow, we have a barbecue, because that's what cows are for. And so time to kill that, move on, let's find something new. So it's about people.
Very good. All right, I'm going to hand it off here to Brother Mulliken.
You said that we don't save people, that God saves people, but the church is responsible to create an environment in which he can save people. What is a way that a church that maybe has been stuck in some of that tradition and some of that protectionism, what are some things they can do to just kind of break that mold and start to get the creative juices flowing?
There's a book out by Bill Hybels called A Walk Across the Room. And one of the things that we talk about all the time, the most important person every weekend in our church is our guest. And we just continue to hit that like piranhas. And so it starts when they come on our property. We're constantly asking ourselves, is it convenient? Are they getting the best parking spot? You know, are people greeting them at the door? How many? Do they really care? Are they looking them in the eye? One of the things we used to do early on was we would give cookies to all our guests, take them to their house. And then I would tell our people who would deliver, the only thing I want to know is what color is their eyes. Because if you can't tell me color, you didn't look at them, you didn't see them. And so we're constantly thinking of ways to get our people out where they're at. It's not uncommon that we'll stop the service and everybody move and sit somewhere else. Find somebody you don't know and sit down. Take them out to eat, pay the bill. So constantly doing that, you know.
I think a lot of times when we think of creative environments, we think particularly of worship, but I've heard studies that you've got 2 minutes from the time they exit their car to the time they hit your door. How do we change our thinking to it's not just what happens in this sanctuary and in these seats and community-wide thought of creating that environment?
Well, interesting. We send all of our leaders to Walt Disney World. And they go through their training because no one does it better than Disney, which is sad.
Absolutely.
Disney should be learning from the church.
Yeah. Yeah.
But right now we're learning from them because they value guests. It's all about the guest. And so we just constantly, I mean, we are relentless, and we have lost that a little bit. Right. But I don't want to say it with any disrespect to the church. Right. We can get it back. That's absolutely. And so who are our guests? That's who we're trying to reach. So we tell the people all the time, it's not about you. How many love Jesus? Their hands come up. Okay, it's not about you. It's about our guests. Constantly. Always about our guests. And we believe this, as you said, you're right. In the first few minutes when they come on, we give the majority of attention before they ever get in the auditorium. You know, it's all about the people. If they feel like no one's noticed them, it doesn't matter how good the music is. It doesn't matter how good the message is. They're already hurting. And they're already feeling like no one noticed me, no one has seen me. They're not hearing a thing. They just want to get out. And so it's all about that. The way we dress, you know, is our dress, I want to be careful I say this, but is it church? Or is it compassion? If they walk in, do they like, oh, you know, I'm at her here. And so we just give high volumes to that, constantly asking. And it's something we have to learn because the longer, as you know, the longer we're Christians, we tend to hang around Christians. And so we have to always be, You know, we pay people to come in and visit our church. You know, I've never been there. And we just ask them, what are your first thoughts? What do you see? What, you know, constantly barraging them to learn. So constantly tweaking it, learning all the time.
Well, Keith, thank you so much for your message tonight at the gathering and the work you're doing out in Dakota. And thank you guys for making it possible, man. I was just flipping through the book. It looks amazing. And God bless you in your work, man. May He continue to use you in amazing ways.
Thank you.